KPFT 50th reunion. Frank Martin here with General Manager Emeritus Mike August, who's sort of running the show. And what did you say you'll never forget?
Okay, so I have to tell a story about Frank Martin, and this has nothing to do with Houston, but it has everything to do with Frank. At one time, I was in Chicago on a trip, and somehow Frank Martin and I got together, and he took me to the top of what was then called Sears Tower, which was the radio site in Chicago.
It was the John Hancock Tower.
Yeah, now called John Hancock Tower, right?
No, the Sears Tower is a different building.
Okay.
It's 110 stories. The John Hancock Tower at 875 North Michigan Avenue is 103. It's the shorter of the two, and it's near the Magnificent Mile. But I was chief engineer at WEFM 99.5, and then what happened?
So he took me out on the roof of this building in Chicago, and it had to be...
I could do that, so, you know.
It had to be summertime, because I know I would have never gone up there in winter. And frankly, I think he had shown me a little bit of the town first, so this may be why you don't remember it, Frank, because I think we were both inebriated, and I had a tremendous urge to urinate, and I think I actually did it off of the top of that building.
I'm horrified to see what's going on here. I think we had a WEFM trade-out credit card at Don the Beachcomber, a tiki restaurant of that era, 1979, and I was able to take guests over and, you know, pineapple, whatever, we get extremely shit-faced at Don the Beachcomber on the radio station trade-out.
Well, that was one of my fun times in Chicago, which I think I love Chicago more than New York City, in that I've always had a great time every time I've been to Chicago.
It's a fun city. It's its own thing.
Yeah. So, Frank, now you've been drawn back into the Briar Patch many times at KPFT.
I have.
As I recall, you've been in and out as the engineer, where you gave it up and then came back. Isn't that so? Or at least you helped them?
I recall. Here's what I recall. I was brought in as the chief engineer by Bob Rogers, who came here with his Phoenicians, and he was the general manager in 1976 with Dave Rickmers, who he actually wanted to be the chief engineer, but did not have a license. I had a license, and I was also working at KIKK and KXYZ KAUM. So he brought me in, and I took over, and I stayed there through the regime of who took over after Bob Rogers. I know Ray Hill. I worked under Ray Hill for a little bit, and there was another general manager in the middle there, Bob Rogers, and I think he was just here, and Ray Hill. And that's the time when I think they paid me $90 either a month or a week, 90, like the admission to this party tonight.
Which was really bad money at that time, too.
Yes, it was. And but, you know, we loved it. I lived across the street on California Street near the Baba Yaga Club in the Montrose. Got me out of Galveston County, where I was born and grew up. And it's just a very formative thing that brings us to where we are today, right?
Right. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, like so many people at KPFT, one of the things I'm proud about Frank is that he rose to the occasion there, but he also he's risen to the top of the game as a broadcast engineer, and works in one of the biggest media markets in the country as a broadcast engineer. Just like there's so many other people that have gone from KPFT, kind of made it the foundation to do such great things. I know that I had 20 years in corporate media, where the foundation skills that I developed to get me there were developed at KPFT. So that's one of the reasons why I want to give back to KPFT now, because I have so much more security now that I could have had without the maximizing those foundation skills.
You know, all our lives we felt that in broadcasting you want to be in the biggest market. And now that I've worked in the biggest market by building the MeTV affiliate, Channel 3 in New York City, I realize it doesn't mean anything. Not anymore, anyway.
Yeah. It's just transmitters and signals.
Yes, but it's now all been leveled by the internet, and New York City money and over-the-air broadcasting is not what it used to be. I mean, at least in my experience, it was like consulting for MeTV money. So
And I can tell you, this is not another KPFT memory, but it's a memory of the job that I held for 20 years. That because I love talking to people so much, the chief engineer gave me the job of handling the listener phone calls. And my favorite thing to do at work that I got paid for was to talk to people that were like DirecTV and Dish Network subscribers and tell them how to game the system to their advantage. And many of them were paying for like local reception packages, or they were still paying like a monthly rental fee for old equipment. And I would tell them how you could get reduce your payments and get all new equipment for free with no payments, and the reception package for free. And I love doing that.
And that's still true right now today. Don't pay for cable, and certainly don't pay for satellite unless you can just afford it. You can afford $500 a month for all of that crap. I know people that can, and they do, but there's no reason for that.
All right, well, I've said my piece, right?
Yeah. Hey, it's Mike August at the KPFT 50th anniversary reunion.